Hi, everybody. My name is Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Jaden.
I'm Eli.
And we are the Yahoo and the Torah channel. And we thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. We thank you guys very much for being part of our family. We are doing what we can do until we can no longer do it. And I am going to do the best of my abilities of reading the complete works of Josephus. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good.
What you doing?
Reading Josephus.
Are you ready? Are you excited? Is this the highlight of your Shabbat?
No.
No, why not?
This dude goes on forever.
This dude goes on forever. Well, we haven't gone on forever. We've gone like 17 pages. All right, tell me so far what's gone on forever. I'm sure you've picked up everything that he's put down. So tell me exactly where it is to this point, how we've gotten to where we're at.
This man grew up as a Jew, ordained a Jew. He's now some sort of priest, Sadducee person. And he's gone to a lot of wars. All his friends keeps running, doing some miracle work, going to war, defend himself from the Romans from stealing all their corn.
Well, he's stealing all their corn.
Yeah, so he got in prison for stealing all their corn. It's treason. Escaped them, cut off one of their hands, and then took over a little town, pretended that he was a giant army.
Right.
Kind of just
And so
tell
here we are.
the story of his greatness. So
Okay, so we're learning the story of Josephus' greatness. That wasn't much. That really didn't help much because when we do the early morning Torah stuff, it's a lot better when you guys give me the breakdowns.
yeah, there's just a repetitive with Josephus,
I
man.
don't think it's repetitive. It's just he goes through it. There's a tremendous
There's
amount
so
of
much that
data.
he does. It's like, if you guys want to see what happens, go
It's the
see
same thing, though.
previous videos.
Like he's like four friends that he's like known for a long time, and they all betray him, and he takes them out all the different ways, and that's it.
Yeah, well, all right, let's continue on. So we are at 52. For anybody who has not been through this, this is what, 3? This fourth section?
This is
I will post the last
video.
Is it 3 or 4?
Third video.
Fourth, yeah. Okay, so I'll post the other 3 at the top of the description if you guys want to see them. I would get them from there. I wouldn't start right here if I were you guys, but if you guys would like to hang out with us, so be it. We'd love to have you. So here we are, 52. But when I was come near Sogin, I caused the multitude to make a halt and exhorted them not to be so easily provoked to anger, and to the inflicting such punishments as could not be afterwards recalled. I gave order that 100 men to go to the city of Jerusalem and should make a complaint before the people of such as raise seditions in the country. And I said to them that in the case they will be moved with what you say, you shall desire the community to write to me, and to enjoin me to continue in Galilee, and to order Jonathan and his colleagues to depart out of it. When I had suggested these instructions to them, and while they were getting themselves ready as fast as they could, sorry guys, I lost my place, I sent them on this errand the 3rd day after they had been assembled. I also sent 500 armed men with them as a guard. I then wrote to my friends in Samaria to take care that they might safely pass through the country. For Samaria was already under the Romans, and it was absolutely necessary for those that go quickly to Jerusalem to pass through that country, for in that road you may in 3 days' time go from Galilee to Jerusalem. I also went myself and conducted the old men as far as the bounds of Galilee and set guards in the road, that it might not be easily known by anyone that these men were gone. And when I had thus done, I went and abode at Jaffa. You have something, Eli?
No.
All right. Now, Jonathan and his colleagues, having failed of accomplishing what they would have done against me, sent John back to Gishgala, but went themselves to the city of Tiberias, expecting it would submit itself to them. And this was founded on a letter which Jesus, their then governor, had written them, promising that if they came, the multitude would receive them and choose to be under their government. So they went their ways with this expectation, but Silas, who, as I said, had been left curator of Tiberias by me, informed me of this and desired me to make haste thither. Accordingly, I complied with his advice immediately and came thither, but found myself in danger of my life from the following occasion. Jonathan and his colleagues had been at Tiberias and had persuaded a great many of such as had a quarrel with me to desert me. But when they heard of my coming, they were in fear for themselves and came to me. And when they had saluted me, they said that I was a happy man in having behaved myself so well in the government of Galilee. And they congratulated me upon the honors that were paid me. For they said that my glory was a credit to them, since they had been my teachers and fellow citizens. And they said further that it was but just that they should prefer my friendship to them rather than John's, and that they would have immediately gone home, but that they stayed that they might deliver up John into my power. And when they said this, they took their oaths of it. And those of us as most tremendous amongst us, and those such as are most tremendous amongst us, and such as I did not think fit to disbelieve. However, they desired me to lodge somewhere else, because the next day was the Shabbat, and that it was not fit the city of Tiberias should be disturbed on that day. So I was suspected nothing, and went away to Tarichi. Yet did I withal leave some to make inquiry in the city how matters went, and whether anything was said about me. I also sent many persons all the way that led from Tarshish to Tiberias, that they might communicate from one to another if they learned any news from those that were left in the city. On the next day, therefore, they all came to Prosukia. Okay, and so the Christian authors that are terrible translators on this said this. It is worth noting here that there was now a great prosukia, or place of prayer in the city of Tiberias itself, that through such prosukia used to be out of cities, as the synagogues were within them. Of them, see Lemoyne on Polycarp's epistle. It is also worth our remark that the Jews in the days of Josephus used to dine at the 6th hour or noon, and that in the obedience to their notions of the law of Moses also. All right, the Jews have a hard time figuring out the laws of Moses. Where in the laws of Moses do we have a place to dine at the 6th hour or noon?
We don't. That's Christians don't understand the laws. They like laws of Moses. They don't understand. It's 5 books only. It's not complicated like this.
Yeah, this is very weird.
They'll die in selves, temples eat at the 6th hour.
Imagine you're out in the field working and you're like, oh, I missed my time to eat. I guess I have to wait till dinner.
Well, that's the same for the guys that take a Sabbath and move the Sabbath to the next month. They have a Sabbath that comes in like on a Tuesday, then the Sabbath next month is on a Thursday. Or is it yearly?
Well, it depends on which one you're...
Depends on who it is. I think I see people changing calendars all the time. So here we are. Speaking of changing calendars, here we are. Okay. So they all came into Prosukia. It was a large edifice and capable of receiving a great number of people. All right, so we don't know what that word Prosukia is, but it looks like there was a huge place of prayer. Now, do you think that was a Yah's place of prayer? Or do you think this was like something not so much? All right, so thither, let's see, let me continue that. It's capable of receiving a great number of people. Thither, Jonathan went in, and though he durst not openly speak of a revolt, yet did he say that their city stood in need of a better governor than it had. But Jesus, who was the ruler, made no scruple to speak out, and said openly, O fellow citizens, it is better for you to be in subjugation to 4 than to 1, and those such as are high birth are not without reputation for their wisdom. And pointed to Jonathan and his colleagues. Now that's a very interesting word, because when people say they don't have any scruples, it means one thing. I've never heard the word scruple being used anywhere else outside of that. So I don't know what that actual scruple is, but how we know it as slang is something different. Okay, 279. Upon his saying this, Justice came in and commended him for what he had said. I think Eli's the only one that ever got this. And persuaded some of the people to be of his mind also. But the multitude were not pleased with what was said, and had certainly gone into a tumult, unless the 6th hour, which was now come, had dissolved the assembly, at which hour our laws require us to go to dinner on Sabbath days.
That's lunchtime.
Yeah, that's lunchtime. So this is not, none of this is biblical. So
yeah, I don't think it'd be this. Oh wait, they did hours by like hour. There's like 18 hours a day for them, right?
Is it?
Is it 24?
I think there's 24. Isn't there 24 hours in the day for Jews? I mean, they don't have any other.
Oh, no, I thought there's something about 18 hours. 6th hour. So they start it.
Well, hold on. Well, the first hour, that's like 1 o'clock, right? What is the?
Well, when did the first hour be at sunset?
I don't remember, but remember Messiah was massacred.
He died at the 9th hour.
9th hour? Was it 9th hour?
Yeah, he died at the 9th hour.
It was 3 o'clock, so something like that.
6 hours from noon.
Yeah, 6
so
hours.
So they must start at sunrise. Is when they start like the maybe hours or something.
Yeah, they have scheduled lunches.
It's complicated.
Huh?
It's complicated.
It is complicated, but this is not in Torah. None of this is. This is all Talmudic Judaism. Yep.
Scruple means perplexity, trouble, or uneasiness of conscience.
Okay, well, I guess I used that one wrong growing up, but that's certainly what everyone says. Okay, so let's continue on. 280. One more time for what does our scruple stand for, Mom?
Perplexity.
Perplexity?
Or uneasiness.
All right, there you go. It's uneasiness. Okay, so I guess he used it right. I used it wrong. Okay, continuing on. Where are we at, gents?
We are.
You said 280, right?
280. Okay, when I was informed of these affairs, I determined to go to the city of Tiberias in the morning. Accordingly, on the next day, about the first hour of the day, I came from Tarshish, and found the multitude already assembled in the Prosukia. But on what account they were gotten together, those that were assembled did not know. But when Jonathan and his colleagues saw me there unexpectedly, they were in disorder, after which they raised a report of their own contrivance that Roman horsemen were seen at a place called Union in the borders of Galilee, 30 furlongs distant from the city. Upon which report, Jonathan and his colleagues cunningly exhorted me not to neglect this matter, nor to suffer the land to be spoiled by the enemy. And this they said with a design to remove me out of the city, under the pretense of the want of extraordinary assistance, while they might dispose the city to be my enemy. All right, and so these are hard things to read. Anybody want to try reading these things?
I do.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can try it. Go ahead.
Well, we're on 283, right?
Yeah, 283.
I was just gonna read it.
Yeah, go for it.
As for myself, although I knew of their design, yet did I comply with what they proposed, lest the people of Tiberias should have occasion to suppose that I was not careful of their security. I therefore went out, but when I was at the place, I found not the least footsteps of any enemy. So I returned as fast as I ever could, and found the whole council assembled, and the body of the people gotten together, and Jonathan and his colleagues bringing vehement accusations against me, as one who had no concern to ease them out of the burdens of war, and
Ease them of the burdens of war.
ease them of the burdens of war, and as one that lived luxuriously. And as they were discoursing this, they produced 4 letters as written to them, from some people that lived at the borders of Galilee, imploring that they would come to their assistance, for there was an army of Romans, both horsemen and footmen, who would come and lay waste the country on the 3rd day. They desired them also to make haste, and did not overlook them. When the people of Tiberias heard this, they thought they spake truth, and made a clamor against me, and said I ought not to sit still, but to go away to the assistance of their countrymen. Hereupon I said, for I understood the meaning of Jonathan and his colleagues, that I was ready to comply with what they proposed, and without delay to march to the war which they spake of. Yet did I advise them at the same time that since these letters declared that the Romans would make their assault in 4 several places, that they should part their forces into 5 bodies, and make Jonathan and his colleagues generals of each body of them. Because it was fit for brave men not only to give counsel, but to take place of leaders, and assist their countrymen where such a necessity pressed them. For, said I, it is not possible for me to lead more than one party. This advice of mine greatly pleased the multitude, so they compelled them to go forth to the war. But their designs were put into very much disorder, because they had not done what they had designed to do, on account of my stratagem, which was opposite to their undertakings.
All right, so, okay, do you understand anything? What just happened there?
I think Jonathan's turned on him again. Like
Jonathan turned on, but he just got it.
He's like,
Josephus just owned
turned
it.
all the people, like, he's on my side too, so let's all work together.
Yeah, I think he just sent all the people into, like, battle. Like, the people that were trying to mess with him. He's like, well, you know, if you want to be a good leader here, you need to go to war.
He just made them all work for him, basically.
Yeah, so basically they all went to war. So these guys were all there to, like, take him out. But then they were saying that it was fit for brave men not only to give counsel, but to take the place of leaders and assist their countrymen. So they're like, come on, go die in battle.
Just a little bit ago, Jonathan was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for going against you. I made a mistake." He's like, "Done it again."
Yeah, it
Some
happens.
friends he has.
All right, I'll continue. Now, there was one whose name was Ananias, a wicked man he was, and very mischievous. He proposed that a general religious fast should be appointed the next day for all the people, and gave order that at the same hour they should come to the same place, without any weapons, to make it manifest before God that while they obtained his assistance, they thought all these weapons useless. And the terrible translators say this: one may observe here that this lay Pharisee Ananias, as we have seen he was, took upon him to appoint a fast at Tiberias and was obeyed, though indeed it was not out of religion, but knavish policy. Okay, so homeboy did a fast for everybody here. Okay, let's continue on. Weapons. Okay, this is
291.
291. This he said, not out of piety, but that they might catch me and my friends unarmed. Now I was hereupon forced to comply, lest I should appear to despise a proposal that tended to piety. As soon, therefore, as we were gone home, Jonathan and his colleagues wrote to John to come to them in the morning. All right, so something I didn't realize is we have Jonathan and John. Mm-hmm. Okay, they wrote to John to come to them in the morning and desiring him to come with as many soldiers as he possibly could, for that they should then be easily to get me into their hands, and to do all they desired to do. When John had received this letter, he resolved to comply with it. As for myself, on the next day, ordered 2 of the guards of my body, whom I esteemed the most courageous and most faithful, to hide daggers under their garments, and to go along with me, that we might defend ourselves if any attack should be made upon us by our enemies. I also myself took my breastplate and girded on my sword, so that it might be, as far as it was possible, concealed, and came into the prosukia. Now Jesus, who was the ruler, commanded that they should exclude all that came with me, for he kept the door himself and suffered none but his friends to go in. And while we were engaged in the duties of the day and had betaken ourselves to our prayers, Jesus got up and inquired of me what was become of the vessels that were taken out of the king's palace when it was burnt down, and of that uncoined silver, and in whose possession they now were. This he said in order to drive away time till John should come. I said that Capellus and the 10 principal men of Tiberias had them all, and I told them that they might ask them whether I told a lie or not. And when they said they had asked them, he asked me, what is become of those 20 pieces of gold, which thou didst receive upon the sale of a certain weight of uncoined money? I replied that I had given them to the ambassadors of theirs, as a maintenance for them, when they were sent by them to Jerusalem. So Jonathan and his colleagues said that I had not done well to pay the ambassadors out of the public money. And when the multitude were very angry at them for this, for they perceived the wickedness of the men, I understood that a tumult was going to arise. And being desirous to provoke the people to a greater rage against the men, I said, but if I have not done well in paying our ambassadors out of the public stock, leave off your anger at me, for I will repay the 20 pieces of gold myself. When I had said this, Jonathan and his colleagues held their peace, but the people were still more irritated against them, upon their openly showing their unjust ill will to me. When Jesus saw this change in the people, he ordered them to depart, but desired the Senate to stay, for that they could not examine things of such a nature in a tumult. And as people were crying out that they would not leave me alone, there came one and told Jesus and his friends privately that John and his armed men were at hand. Whereupon Jonathan and his colleagues, being able to contain themselves no longer, and perhaps the providence of God hereby procuring my deliverance, for had this not been so, I had certainly been destroyed by John, said, O you people at Tiberias, leave off this inquiry about the 20 pieces of gold, for Josephus hath not deserved to die for them, but he hath deserved it by his desire of tyrannizing, and by cheating the multitude of the Galileans with his speeches in order to gain the dominion over them. When he had said this, they presently laid hands upon me and endeavored to kill me. But as soon as those that were with me saw what they did, they drew their swords and threatened to smite them if they offered any violence to me. The people also took up stones and were about to throw them at Jonathan, and so they snatched me from the violence of my enemies. But as I was gone out a little way, I was just upon meeting John, who was marching with his armed men. So I was afraid of him and turned aside and escaped by a narrow passage to the lake and seized on a ship and embarked on it and sailed over to Terchi. So
Is
beyond
he just stealing ships? Is he just finding random boats and stealing them?
I don't know. Maybe a friend, or maybe I don't know what's going to happen there. Lots of stuff in the story you don't know. So beyond my expectation, I escaped this danger. Whereupon I presently sent for the chief of the Galileans and told them after what manner against all faith had given. I had been very near to destruction from Jonathan and his colleagues and the people of Tiberias. Upon which the multitude of the Galileans were very angry, and encouraged me to delay no longer to make war upon them, but to permit them to go against John, and utterly to destroy him, as well as Jonathan and his colleagues. However, I restrained them, though they were in such a rage, and desired them to tarry a while, till we should be informed what orders those ambassadors that were sent by them to the city of Jerusalem should bring thence. For I told them that it was best to act accordingly to their determination, whereupon they prevailed, whereupon they were prevailed on. At which time also John, when the snares he had laid did not take effect, returned back to Gishchala. All right, Eli, take it.
Now, in a few days, those ambassadors, whom we had sent, came back again and informed us that the people were greatly provoked by Ananias and Simon the son of Gamaliel and their friends, that, without any public determination, they had sent to Galilee and had done their endeavors that I might be turned out of the government. The ambassadors said further that the people were ready to burn their houses. They also brought letters, whereby the chief men of Jerusalem, at the earnest petition of the people, confirmed me in the government of Galilee, and enjoined Jonathan and his colleagues to return home quickly. When I had gotten these letters, I came to the village of Arbela, where I procured an assembly of Galileans to meet, and bid the ambassadors declare to them the anger of the people of Jerusalem at what had been done by Jonathan and his colleagues, and how much they hated their wicked doings, and how they had confirmed me in the government of their country, as also what related to the order that they had in writing for Jonathan and his colleagues to return home. So I immediately sent them the letter, and bid him that I needed to inquire, as well as he could, how they intended to act on this occasion. Now when they had received that letter, and were thereby greatly disturbed, they sent for John, and for the senators of Tiberias, and for the principal men of the governors, and proposed to hold a council, and desired them to consider what was to be done by them. However, the governors of Tiberias were greatly disposed to keep the government to themselves, for they said it was not fit to desert their city. Now it was committed to their trust, and that otherwise I should not delay to fall upon them, for they pretended falsely that so I had threatened to do. Now John was not only of their opinion, but advised them. The two of them could go to accuse me.
Two of them should go.
That two of them should go to accuse me before the multitude of Jerusalem, that I do not manage the affairs of Galilee as I ought to do, and that they would easily persuade the people because of their dignity, and because the whole multitude are very mutable. When, therefore, it appeared that John suggested the wisest advice to them, they resolved that two of them, Jonathan and Ananias, should go to the people of Jerusalem, and the other two, Simon and Joazar, should be left behind to carry Tiberias. They also took along with them 100 soldiers for their guard.
However, the governors of Tiberias took care to have their city secured with walls, and commanded their inhabitants to take their arms. They also sent for a great many soldiers from John to assist them against me, if there should be occasion for them. Now John was at Gishchala. Jonathan, therefore, and those that were with him, when they were departed from Tiberias, and as soon as they were come to Dabarita, a village that lay in the utmost parts of Galilee, in the great plain, they, about midnight, fell among the guards I had set, who both commanded them to lay aside their weapons, and kept them in bonds upon the place, as I had charged them to do. This news was written to me by Levi, who had the command of the guard committed to him by me. Hereupon I said nothing of it for 2 days, and pretending to know nothing about it, I sent a message to the people of Tiberias and advised them to lay their arms aside and to dismiss their men that they might go home. But supposing that Jonathan and those that were with him were already arrived at Jerusalem, they made reproachful answers to me. Yet was I not terrified thereby, but contrived another stratagem against them. For I did not think agreeable with piety to kindle the fire of war against the citizens. As I was desirous to draw those men away from Tiberias, I chose out 10,000 of the best of my armed men, and divided them into 3 bodies, and ordered them to go privately and lie still as an ambush in the villages. I also led 1,000 into another village, which lay indeed in the mountains, and as did the others, but only 4 furlongs distance from Tiberias, and gave orders that when they saw my signal, they should come down immediately, while I myself lay with my soldiers in the sight of everybody. Hereupon the people of Tiberias, at the sight of me, came running out of the city perpetually, and abused me greatly. Nay, their madness was come to that height, that they made a decent bier for me, and standing about it, they mourned over me in the ways of jest and sport, and I could not but be myself in a pleasant humor upon the sight of this madness of theirs. Okay, anyone know what a decent bier? Made a decent bier. I don't know what that is. Mr. Cole, look that up, will you please? B-I-E-R. So we don't know what that is, but anyway, whatever happened. Kate, are you catching this?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening there? Careful there, buddy. You all right? B-I-E-R. A decent buyer for me.
A frame usually of wood on which to carry load.
These guys were going to hook him up. These guys were going to stack him up, man, stick him in, like back in the days of tar and feathering. They were going to put him in a stockade. All right, so homeboy was over there, and everybody's doing it, and I guess he didn't think it was too much of a gig to get stocked up, or didn't think that they were able to do it.
He thought it was funny or something.
Yeah, so that doesn't make those people that are doing that to you, if you just laugh at them, that doesn't make people happy at all.
It says specifically a framework on which a corpse or coffin containing it is laid before a burial.
All right, corpse or coffin is laid before a burial is what Miss Nicole says is what buyer is. Okay, 63. And now, being desirous to catch Simon by a while, and Josar with him. Eli, go ahead and read that. The classes just got checked.
And now, being desirous to catch Simon by a while, and Joazar with him, I sent a message to them, and desired them to come a little way out of the city.
Hold on. We're having an issue. 1 second. Rolling on. Sorry, everyone.
And now, being desirous to catch Simon by a while, and Joazar with him, I sent a message to them, and desired them to come a little way out of the city, and many of their friends to guard them. For I said I would come down to them, and make a league with them, and divide the government of Galilee with them. Accordingly, Simon was deluded, on account of his imprudence, and out of the hopes of gain, and did not delay to come. But Joazar, suspecting snares were laid for him, stayed behind. So when Simon was come out, and his friends with him for his guard, I met him, and saluted him with great civility, and professed that I was obliged to him for his coming up to me. But a little while afterward I walked along with him as though I would say something to him by himself. And when I had drawn him a good way from his friends, I took him about the middle, and he gave him to my friends that were with me, to carry him into a village. And commanding my armed men to come down, I with them made an assault upon Tiberias. Now, as the fight grew hot on both sides, and the soldiers belonging to Tiberias were in a fair way to conquer me, for my armed men were already fled away, I saw a posture of my affairs, and encouraging those that were with me, I pursued those of Tiberias, even when they were already conquerors, into the city. I also sent another band of soldiers into the city by the lake, and gave them orders to set on fire the first house they could seize upon. When this was done, the people of Tiberias thought that their city was taken by force, and so threw down their arms for fear, and implored, they, their wives, and children, that I would spare their city. So I was over-persuaded by their entreaties, and restrained the soldiers from the vehemency with which they pursued them. While I myself, upon the coming on of the evening, returned back with my soldiers, and went to refresh myself. I also invited Simon to sup with me, and comforted him on occasion of what had happened, and I promised that I would send him safe and secure to Jerusalem, and withal would give him provisions for his journey thither.
Okay, I'll finish this up. We'll just go probably to 65, call it this. But on the next day, I brought 10,000 armed men with me and came to Tiberias. I then sent for the principal men of the multitude into the public place and enjoined them to tell me who were the authors of the revolt. And when they told me who the men were, I sent them bound to the city of Jotapata. But as to Jonathan and Ananias, I freed them from their bonds and gave them provisions for their journey, together with Simon and Josar, and 500 men who should guard them. And so I sent them to Jerusalem. The people of Tiberias also came to me again and desired that I would forgive them for what they had done. And they said they would amend what they had done amiss with regard to me by their fidelity for the time to come. And they besought me to preserve what spoils remained upon the plunder of the city for those that had lost them. Accordingly, I enjoined those that had got them to bring them all before us. And when they did not comply for a great while, and I saw one of the soldiers that were about me with a garment on that was more splendid than ordinary, I asked him whence he had it. And when he replied that he had it out of the plunder of the city, I had him punished with stripes. And I threatened all the rest to inflict a severe punishment upon them, unless they produced before us whatsoever they had plundered. And when a great many spoils were brought together, I restored to every one of Tiberias what they claimed to be their own. And now I am come to the part of my narration. I have a mind to say a few things to Justus, who hath himself written a history concerning these affairs, as also to others who profess to write history, but have little regard to truth, and are not afraid, either out of ill will or good will, to some persons to relate falsehoods. These men do not like those who compose forged deeds and conveyances, and because they are not brought to the like punishment with them, they have no regard to truth. When therefore Justus undertook to write about these facts and about the Jewish war, that he might appear to have been an industrious man, he falsified in what he related about me, and could not speak truth, even about his own country. Whence it is that, being belied by him, I am under necessity to make my defense, and so I shall say what I have concealed till now, and let no wonder that I have not told the world these things a great while ago, for although it be necessary for a historian to write the truth, yet is such a one not bound severely to animadvert on the wickedness of certain men, not out of any favor to them, but out of the author's own moderation. Okay, so what he's about to do is he's about to unleash the fury on this dude named Justus, and I think this is a good stopping point for us right here. 340, I think, is where we will pick this up next Shabbat, Yah willing. If I can see at that point, we will do that. What do you guys make of this so far?
He gets into a lot of wars. I don't know why he keeps setting these guys free. Why he keeps letting these guys go after they keep trying to get him killed and get his country into war. Yeah. I don't know why he just keeps letting them go and taking care of them. I don't understand what this is about. But. This
is interesting. It is an interesting concept. These are all people of Yisrael, right? These are all people that should be following the law, statutes, and commandments, right? It should be a separated people than the rest of the people, and he doesn't want a civil war, right? What he's trying to do is he's trying to avoid a civil war at all costs, trying to do as least as possible in terms of igniting war amongst his own people who were under the control and oppression of Rome as it is. And so these are interesting stories. We don't know if they're true, we don't know if they're false, but we are going over them just the same. So with that, everybody, we hope you have a wonderful day. Have a good one.
All right, shalom.